As the EV trend continues, we're starting to see more and more in our own communities. Which are the top choices that you're seeing and you know about as far as electric vehicles? Are you still on the hybrid tip? Are you going to buy a gas or ice powered vehicle? But if you were going to buy an electric vehicle, which one would you buy given the limited selection we have in the United States? I'm going to run down some top five or top six choices right here, right now on the Ujamaa Network. Maybe I just haven't been looking, or maybe I'm just not getting the news on what the consensus is in the African American community when it comes to electric vehicles. I personally only see one particular brand, and that's the Tesla. Now, there may be one or two. I've seen a couple of Lucids on the road. Actually, the Lucid Air in in my neighborhood, and it's only that one. I've seen a couple of Cybertrucks, whatnot, but usually it's just Tesla. But the EV market is starting to get crowded. Um, Let me know if you've seen any of these models that that are out there. But I know nobody's talking about these vehicles like, oh, I've got to get this vehicle. I want to talk about why that is. So let's go down the list. First, we're going to be talking about the Nissan Leaf and the Chevy Volt. Actually, Chevy Bolt. Let's see what they're looking like. I'm not gonna lie. When looking at this vehicle that started at 29.9, that's about $29,000, $30,000 price tag. The Nissan Leaf looks better than it did when its first incarnation came out. It reminds me of the former Murano that was discontinued. It's a compact SUV and one of those kind of vehicles that really don't it doesn't impress. And I definitely don't hear anybody talking about it in the hood, but it does pack some powerful little performance issues. It claims to have about 303 miles of range. It's a 75 kilowatt battery, means you're not going to necessarily be spending the rest of your life charging this vehicle. But at $29,000, it's definitely a contender because with the average price of a vehicle in the United States, either ICE or electric, at $50,000, $48,000, it's worth taking a look at. Now, if you are a family man, I don't know if a subcompact is going to do it for you, especially if you're looking for something as a daily driver. Me personally, I want an EV just because, hey, I'm tired of missing out on some of the technology. And honestly, when it comes to that onboard tech, there's only one choice, and I kind of have some misgivings about it, but we'll get into that later when we talk about that vehicle. But here's the Nissan Leaf, $29,000, um, an estimated 303 range. It's an option out there as the most affordable subcompact out there next to this next vehicle. Next on the list is the new 2027 Chevy Bolt. I'm not that impressed again with the aesthetics of the vehicle, but it does get a 262 EPA estimated gas mileage range on it. 262 is kind of low. And again, with this being another subcompact running in at around $27,000 starting price, you know you're going to add extras, but it's just one of those things that I don't know. Is the American public willing to go this basic in looks for a vehicle that's affordable? But honestly, I don't see them in the community. I just don't see them. And I'm looking pretty hard, but I see only one brand, and I know what you're thinking. And this is not a shill for that company. We're going to be talking about the vehicle and the company shortly, but as far as competition and choice, we're kind of limited because when you see what these cars are going up against, why would you buy anything else? It's just that simple. $27,000, 260 some odd miles of range. That's the Chevy Bolt. Now let's get into some vehicle brands that we're actually seeing in the community, and we're going to start off with the Cadillac brand. I've seen multiple EVs of this brand, whether it's the Escalade IQ, but I've seen far more lyrics than any other Cadillac brand out here. Although the Optic is the cheapest or the least expensive EV in this product line at 50 grand at starting price, the Lyric is the one that I see a lot. The only thing I have against the Optic itself is the back window. I don't like that plastic in the back. I just don't. The Lyric looks much better, but you're gonna pay $9,000 more for roughly the same space inside. The interior looks good. Um, the grill could use some work. Again, I'm not a real big fan of that plastic shield. I don't know why they do that on EVs other than aerodynamics, but it's the price. It's the price. It's flat out uh, $10,000 more than the average price of a car in America right now. With the Escalade IQL starting at $130,000. Again, these are big vehicles. And that's what is popular in the hood, a brand name that you can trust or recognize, and something that looks good. It actually looks good, and I want to be able to enjoy the vehicle that I purchase if I'm going to spend that kind of money on it. But when it comes to black generational wealth or building it, this ain't the move. Spending that kind of dough on a vehicle for a long period of time, you're talking about half a house payment. And that's just not going to cut it in these economic times. So we finally get to it, and we're talking about the Tesla Model 3 or Model Y. It is the most sold vehicle in the United States for a couple of years running. It's no longer the most widely sold EV on the planet because of all of the advances that the Chinese market is making. And until, if ever, we have a true selection in this country, the Tesla is just going to be it in terms of range at 363 miles estimated for the trim that I would have selected. It is the fastest vehicle out there. This is actually the reason why my family members hate electric vehicles, because it is so fast. You got 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds on the regular trim. When you're talking about like the performance, you're talking about 2.9, something crazy like that. And it's insane the amount of speed that a performance vehicle could generate. The room seems to be okay. The build quality is one to be still questioned right now. That's really the only drawback to a Tesla, but the technology is just what it is. And again, I'm not shilling for the company. You're seeing so many of these vehicles in the community, and that's despite its owner. People really don't have a favorable opinion of Elon Musk, where he comes from, especially things that he says and does. Um, and that's transcending any ethnic lines. But his customer base is loyal. And the product that he built is game changing. So if you have any misgivings about supporting this brand, you got to think about what's going to be good for you long term. Are we supporting someone who doesn't particularly have the best relations with the community? Look, I'm not going to put that on you. I know that was a question that gets asked a lot, but if we're talking strictly about the vehicle, I don't think you really have a choice. The competition is just not there yet. And there are some newcomers coming pretty soon in the form of trucks and SUVs, like the Rivian R12, which I'm seriously looking at. But I have no desire to be off roading, so it wouldn't be the most practical vehicle for me. You've got Scout Motors again, another off roading EV. Lucid, it's just not going to happen. Even with the Lucid Gravity, which is an SUV, it's somewhat affordable, but still way out of the price range of any average American worker. and it's just not. It's just not to me. It just doesn't have that same attachment that people have attached to Tesla. It's a better looking vehicle, but when you pair apples to oranges, I don't see why you would pick anything else. I like the Hyundai brand. I just haven't seen anybody buy a bunch of them. I saw one Ionic 6 or 3, whatever it is, the vehicle, the car, not the SUV. It just looks kind of weird. All of these EVs kind of look kind of weird, but is it something that I could get jiggy with? I don't know. Looks aside, um, yeah, I think it's just going to be a matter of getting a $40,000 to $50,000 Tesla versus paying 60 and up for any other EV, unless you want to jump into one of those subcompact EVs just so you can say you have an EV. I just don't see myself doing it. Um, I don't know. Just some random thoughts. Let me know what you think, what your favorite brand is on the EV circuit, and I'll talk to you later.